kitty cat cuddle time. It's kitty cat cuddle time. Say hi to your audience. Time to do some sewing.
Why are you holding him and moving him around? Why he's going to run around? Just let him sit next to you.
Hello, everybody. Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. From bed. Again. Because I can't sew yet. Well, I can by hand. Just not at the sewing machine. So I'm here in bed with my kitty. Huh. You're right. Yes. So today I'm going to work on borders on my hand sewing quilt. That's what I'm going to do. Can I see that for her to say hi?
Why?
To everybody? Yes.
I'm trying to figure out how to... How do you scroll?
The arrows. I don't know. He's trying to figure out a newer computer. He doesn't know how to do that yet. So I'm working on my hand sewing project. I got the top completely put together, obviously, but I also have 2 borders on it, and I decided instead of going with 4 different color borders for all 4 sides, I decided to take this purple that I have and use it.
You can figure it out.
Because I like it.
Me and the boy will sit here next to you.
All right, let's see. We got Debbie, Kim, Glenda, Terry, Polly, Lori, Joyce, Candy, Martha, Melody, Susan, Christine, Kelly, where we are, Danelle, Tamla, Jody, Jennifer, Deborah, Jacqueline, Ken, Mary Lou, Linda, Diana, MJ, Mama Hardin, Kathy, Melena, Anita, Renee, Paula, and many, many more. And if I missed your name, I'm sorry. Hello. Welcome to today's video where I sew on purple borders, 2 of them. I'm going to get 2 of them done. So I went with this. I had it in my stash of scraps from somebody, and if you're curious what this is, it's called Bloom. It was a 108 by Chelsea Design Works for Studio E fabrics. So that's what this print is, in case anybody wanted to know. I made sure to bring out a selvage piece so that you can see. Yes, oh, there it is, right side up. Haha, there we go. That's what it is. So it's 108, so, and I had 108 available. So what I'm gonna do is I cut 7-inch borders. I know that's a lot, right? But I wanted to make my quilt even bigger. So since it's 108, technically, I just need to, put from one side, pin from one side, and then trim it to the size I need at the other side. And I'm totally not going to worry about anything because this is all hand sewn. So all I'm going to do is pin a border on here and then hand sew it on. And I'm going to trim it off on the other end with scissors because why not? Seems straight enough to me. The quilt came out pretty square. So I'm going to start with one side, pin the whole thing on, and try not to poke myself 500 times as I go from one side to the other, making sure that everything stays nice and square. Which so far it has been. So I've been lucky.
Are your little thingy's not turned on?
Oh, you might have to grab my computer for that.
Yeah, it's not working.
Yeah, all of them probably got turned off today because Ian was live and his was off too.
I'm getting it. Do you need the mouse?
No, just the computer. Thank you. I gotta do something on the computer real quick so that it works for you all.
Yeah, we gotta make the bot thing work.
For some reason, this thing gets turned off randomly after like 4 or 5 live streams. I don't know why. Could never figure it out. And it makes me log in every time. Like, why did they turn this thing off? I don't understand.
That's what he had said.
Yeah, his was off earlier today too. I think everybody's was turned off today. Like, after a few sessions, they just automatically turn these things off. And then I have to grab a second computer because this is the only computer that has it on it.
How much longer will you be laid up?
I don't know how much longer I will be laid up, but I can tell you this. Physical therapy is physical. Obviously, if you guys have ever been to physical therapy, you'll know that it is it's physical. And they make you do things that your body's not used to doing, and my body is definitely not happy in the first place, and physical therapy has been draining for me, the physical therapy and then doing the at-home stuff. And my legs have decided to turn into mush because I have MS as well, and my legs decided to go into an MS flare. So the nerves are literally like pinching all over my legs, both of them, because I'm moving my legs more than I normally would. So I have a lot of weakness right now, and numbness and tingling, and like shocking. They're shocking me constantly, and I get that often with my MS, but not as bad as it has been the last couple days. So I'm definitely in an MS flare, and it sucks. So that's why I decided, you know what, I can't sit at the sewing machine anyway because I need to kick back and not sit in that chair. So I might as well just complete the hand sewing of my top by sitting in bed.
One lady's making you a Tiffany box, and she wants to know if there's anything you need.
A Tiffany box.
Yes, she's sending me a box of goodies I gave you.
Oh, I don't need anything. I can use everything. I don't need anything. You guys don't have to send me things. I know you guys like to send me things, but you don't have to. Unless you absolutely feel you need to. But I use everything that's sent to me. And if I don't use it, I pass it on. So it goes into my giveaway piles and things like that.
Can you walk on your own without much pain?
I can walk on my own, but right now it is painful. Both my legs are pained. Walking just aggravates them more. So it's making it hard to do all my physical therapy stuff at home that I'm doing. But Scott does it with me. He does the exercises with me, so that helps take my mind off of, pain. Watching him do push-ups and stuff, I guess it's a husband and wife thing.
Yes, I do. I work out with you.
He does his workout with me. So I'm just pinning this. Lots of pins. Not as much pins as when I was piecing the rows together, though. I pinned at every intersection for that. This I'm not. Just making sure it's staying nice and straight, nice and flat, and not wrinkled. Oof, I have a long way to go till I'm done with the pins. What? I'm actually pinning the sides on. I wasn't paying attention, and I sewed the top and bottom on first, which on a sewing machine I sew the side borders on, then I do the top and bottom. But I wasn't paying attention because I was sitting in bed when I did this, that I just put the top and bottom on first. So the sides are a lot longer. Soon this thing will be ready for quilting after these two borders.
Do you use L or M size pre-wound bobbins?
L and M, because my machines in the room use L, no, and the long arm takes M, right?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I use both because the Juki uses the big bobbins as well. I think those are L, and the long arm is M. I don't know. Someone with a long arm can say it because I am not 100% sure at the very moment. All right, when I get to the end and I have all this hangover, all I'm doing is what I would do at the sewing machine. I'm literally just rolling it to the edge, straightening it up on top of itself, creating a crease. I'm literally going to cut this with scissors because you can see how good I am at my making of quilts.
What's your next project?
My next project would be whatever it ends up being when I finally get back into the sewing room. I did go in there to
Well,
cut this fabric.
You have a lot of work for other people
Yeah,
to do.
I have work for clients that I got to do. Lots of it. I am so far behind on my client jobs. So those will be the first thing I do, which I will film, obviously. I film everything I do, mostly.
Are you gonna hand quilt this?
Yep, this will be hand quilted, and it's going to be big stitch quilting because, you know, someone sent me more threads, so I'm just going to go with all the threads, and it's going to be tons of different colors because I have tons of different color embroidery floss now. So I'm just going to quilt it with embroidery floss, and I just got to check the chart again to make sure because I downloaded a chart onto my phone of what size needle I needed. So, and then I have to look in my needles and see if I even have that size needle for embroidery floss. So I'm going to do the same as I've been doing. 1/4 inch seam, no markings, just all on my own because I know where it should land. I'm tying off the end first before I do anything.
The dear mom lady that wants to send you the package says that it's so sweet that we work out together. Tell her we used to go to the gym together.
We used to go to the gym together, but then my MS started getting worse and I started having issues, so I stopped going to the gym. And then the gym that we were going to had a pool and they closed down, so there's no other gym with a pool. So I just started going to my friend's house at the pool. And yeah, that works for me. I get my exercise in a pool and Scott goes to a gym. Although I thought about going back to the gym so that I can ride the bike and walk on the treadmill. That way I don't have to walk in the heat because it is 102 degrees outside today. So 103 according to the computer. So honestly, walking around the neighborhood is not an option in the summertime around here. So I would definitely have to go to the gym with Scott and then just walk on the treadmill.
I've told you could come
Once my legs are better, though, because there's no way my legs will allow it now without me falling, getting hurt, or having some kind of struggle, which I'm already having. I'm still in awe that I've actually managed to hand piece a whole entire quilt top. And before I added the borders, it was, I think I have the paper somewhere right here, or maybe I don't. It was like 60 something by 70 something. Aha.
Any idea when you're going to be doing the Tula butterfly quilt?
I have no idea when I'm doing the Tula butterfly quilt. So before I added the 7-inch borders all the way around on each side, it was 61 by 74. So I hand pieced a 61 by 74 inch quilt. Even though it's just 4 patches put together, that's still a lot of work for me. I've done more in the last couple weeks than I did in the first 2 years of making this. And I will finish it. I will prevail. It will get done.
Can you chat on a replay episode?
No, you cannot chat on the replays. Once it is filmed, it is filmed. But you can read the chat and it will post about 2, sometimes 3 hours after the live is finished. Then the whole chat will be available to read it while you watch. If you're, interested in the questions people asked or want to read the conversation, I leave those there. Some live streamers actually remove the chat conversation for the replay, but I just leave mine. No sense in removing it. You want to know what, people were saying that caused me to talk about whatever the things I am talking about are. So
You can comment.
And you can comment on the video after, that's about it. And the codes that are entered from the chat bot, those do not work on a comment either. Once the chat is done, those do not work. So you don't need to comment with anything that we do in the video because it doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it only works during the live stream.
You have to check it. Let's see if one works. Oh, yep, there we go. It worked.
So every like 7 stitches, I'm going back a stitch, just in case you guys were curious, because this is a long stretch of stitching. So I back stitch like every 7. Someone told me do 3. Another person said do 4. I just went with 7 because I rock the needle out 4 times on the first go. And then when I come back, I do a 3. Then I go back 1, just so you guys, in case you're curious. Kind of getting used to the whole thing with my hands.
Anytime after 8 o'clock.
I'm excited about almost being done with this thing. It does take me a few minutes to cross this, like 20 minutes to cross.
Have you ever tacked a quilt?
Tacked a quilt, like tied a quilt instead of quilting it, tied it? No, I have not. I've always quilted like straight lines or something on a regular domestic machine. I've never tied a quilt. But I am thinking of basting this quilt by using the long arm instead of spray based. I'm thinking about loading it on the long arm and using a basting stitch and then just basting the whole thing for me to quilt it. It's a lot of work.
Are you ever going to make another one to sell?
Another hand piece
I
quilt? I probably will not make another one. I'll probably attempt, English paper piecing because it looks intriguing and I have the stuff to try it to make a little project with, English paper piecing, but I doubt I will ever hand sew a whole quilt like this again. At least not in the next 5-10 years. This is just for me to say I did it. It's been very much therapeutic, because I've been working on it since my son died, since my surgery. So it's keeping me sane, being able to sew something while I'm down. And the whole purpose of the quilt was to be able to sew while I was down. So
how do you use spray basting?
Spray basting, I would suggest using it outside, but in a garage or out, in the yard or something. But if you have to use it in a house, I would suggest putting cardboard down to spray baste. And to mind your nose, because most spray bastes stink. Even if it says it's non-stinky, they all stink. I don't care what anyone says. They all stink. And the sticky glue stuff gets everywhere too, so that's why I suggest cardboard or something. When I used to lay my quilts out to spray baste them to sew on the home sewing machine before I got a long arm, I did it out on cardboard on the garage floor. And then when it was summertime, I would bring the quilts in the house and I would quilt them on the kitchen table because that's, where I had room to do it before I realized, hey, I should just sew in my room. Those are really old videos, by the way. If you ever see any video of me sewing in my bedroom with the sewing machine on a table, those are old. If you see me sewing in the garage, that's even older.
Tell them about the pool. I thought you had a pool.
We have an on top of the ground pool. It has not been set up yet. I was actually thinking of messaging Damon, see if he wanted to come help me put it up tomorrow.
I will help you put it up.
Get it up.
Need him?
Oh, I figured you two could do it together.
Yeah.
Instead of you doing it by yourself. I was just going to be the the nosy person and say,
It's
this
not
goes
hard to
here
set
and that
up.
goes there. Yeah, we just haven't set we haven't on top of the ground. It's just a little dink ball thing. I usually go in ours for pool yoga, our little on top of the ground pool I use for pool yoga. And then, which is just yoga in a small pool. And then I go to my friend's house to do laps and actually get a workout. But I haven't done that yet either. But my friend has an in-ground pool. I have more than one friend with an in-ground pool here, but hers is a big enough one for laps. The rest of them are mainly for just floating around. That would make me a pool hopper. I go from pool to pool, do all the different things I need to do. One for tanning, one for swimming, one for yoga. Sorry, I know I'm silly. All right, getting ready almost to tie this because it's almost out of thread. I'll have to grab a new piece. And no, I have not gone with anybody's suggestions yet to pre-thread a few needles before sewing. I just kind of thread it every time, which is fine. Works for me. If I can find the hole. I have to pull it away because I'm actually far-sighted, not whatever. Yeah, that's the word for it. Pull it away from my eyes so I can see. Not Ted. Stitch some more. It is kind of warm sitting under just the quilt top doing this. And I have to keep adjusting it. Another reason why in Arizona, you don't make very many quilts in the summertime. Definitely don't sleep with any quilts on top of you in the summertime.
Have you ever made a collage quilt?
Collage quilt, like, I don't know how to consider a collage quilt, like a puzzle style quilt, just a collage of different fabrics. I mean, that would be a scrappy quilt. I don't know. A collage of into a picture kind of thing where you take a bunch of fabrics and create a photo of something. I don't know. So no, probably not. Not by definition, I guess, is the word.
Making pictures on top of a main piece and quilt through all the layers as you go.
Make a picture on top of a main piece and quilt all the layers as you go? No, I have not made anything like that.
It's like Teresa Louise's dog cookie quilt she's doing.
No, I have not made anything like that. The closest I've gotten was I made a sewing machine. And that was with scraps laying on top, glued down, and then stitched down on the long arm.
Well, if Teresa's doing one, I just plugged her site.
Yeah.
check hers out.
I haven't done anything like that.
Joy's a physical therapist. She says, hang in there, it'll get easier.
Yeah, it will once my legs are used to all the movement. Because I don't just work one side of my body out. I can't just work on the leg that's been hurt, or else one will be more stronger than the other. And we don't want that. I don't want to be lopsided.
That is true.
I was already lopsided beforehand because of the problem with my hip. My left leg was taking up all the, movement and weight all the time. So the muscles on that leg are definitely stronger. Welcome everybody that's joining in.
Brenda says, what about your Tiffany wall hanging? That's kind of a collage.
Yeah, the Tiffany's Quilting Life wall hanging with the sewing machine. Yeah, that's kind of a collage. I glued the pieces down and then took it to the long arm to quilt it. I did make a video. It's called My First Ever Collage Quilt, but I'm not sure that that was actually considered a collage. I'm not 100%. I just called it that. Like I said, true definition of a collage quilt could be something else. I don't know. I thought it was just like an image of something. But yes, I've made what I thought was, I guess. Have not made one since either. It was a lot of work, that one, all gluing all those pieces and making sure they stay and then stitching them all down. But I used up a ton of little tiny itty bitty scraps for it.
How long does a typical MS flare last?
An MS flare can last anywhere from a week to 3 weeks to 6 months to 6 years.
To forever.
To forever, for the rest of my life. It just depends.
You had some that lasted a day, you had
Yep.
some that lasted months.
Yep. Some that last days, some that last weeks, some that last months. Some completely take me out of myself and put me into a wheelchair for a long time. Just depends on why I'm flaring. It's only my legs right now. I'm not feeling it anywhere else in my body, so I should be good, hopefully, in a couple weeks. I mean, I can still walk and stuff. It's just weak. I can still do the exercises again. It's just weak, and it's just sharpshooting pain that I'm used to. I mean, I've had MS for over 21 years, so yeah.
Donna asked about your frowny face. Is that because you're in pain?
No, that was something I did when I was younger. I did a sad face, and then there was a happy face on this side, but this side got covered up, and this side never got covered. This side was supposed to be a whole sleeve, and I just never continued going because tattoos are expensive.
Yeah.
Tattoos are very expensive, and they're even more expensive than they were when I started getting my tattoos years and years and years ago. I couldn't believe when me and my daughter Alexa went and got the ones we got on the back of our calves, our matching whale tattoos. I swear I paid more for that tattoo than I did for the whole entire chest tattoo that I have. I was like, what? That's crazy. You're barely putting anything on my leg. Mind you, it does have a lot more color and stuff than the one on my chest, but still, the idea behind the expenses of tattoos is there. It's very expensive, and I don't have the money to cover more up. right now. Although it might help my nerves if I go to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
I got one on the back of my neck because I had a migraine and my migraine went away. So the reason why the one on the back of my neck is there because I had a migraine. It was like soothing to my skull or something. I don't know. But it helped getting it at that time. It doesn't take away current migraines that I get. And I thought about piercings and stuff, a day piercing for migraines, but I don't have the right type shape ear for that piercing.
Have you ever tried acupuncture?
I have tried acupuncture. It does not do nothing for me.
Tell me
I
that.
did.
Scott.
It helps Scott. I've
Well,
also tried dry needling, and that doesn't do anything either. That's more of an irritation, actually.
Scott likes acupuncture.
Yeah, Scott likes acupuncture. It's going to take me forever to do this row because this is so long.
Would you recommend a tattoo on a finger?
I don't know if you want to tattoo your finger. It's on your hand. You're going to wash your hands, so it's going to fade faster.
Yes, that's what I was told about getting a wedding ring
All
tattoo.
this, yeah.
Was that the hand?
All
would
this on
fit
my
it.
hand used to be way more, but because you wash your hands constantly, any tattoo on your hand, it's going to go away. It's going to fade quickly.
She wants to do a wedding ring one.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know. It's all on the person, the artist that does it, if they do it really good. But yeah, it'll fade pretty quick.
It also depends on the person on if they take color.
Yeah.
Deep color doesn't stay on at all.
Yeah.
That lady,
If you do plain black and just a plain black tattoo, it should be fine.
your nurse lady
Her tattoo, her colors are beautiful.
Hers looked brand new, and she told us it was like 6 years old.
Yeah. Color does not stay on me very well either. Scott or me.
I'm working on a quilt that has a panel on one side that is a fireman. Could I use that as a front or back?
Yeah.
And then put squares on one side.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want with a panel. You can add anything you want. I took a wolf panel for Scott and I just put curved log cabin blocks around it. And it turned out amazing. You can do whatever you want with a panel. You can just border it out. You can build blocks around it. You can put borders on one side only, just, one top and bottom or whatever. You can do whatever you want. You can put it in the back of the quilt, making it a reversible quilt. The sky is the limit with panels. You can cut it up and do like an attic window type thing with it. You'll have to Google attic window because I can't show you what an attic window looks like while we're on chat. But there's lots of things you can do with panels.
Sue sent you an email.
Okay, Sue. Thank you. I'll read it later when I get to my emails. I know you guys all say you send me emails sometimes, and if I don't get to it for like a week, that's not my fault. That's the fault of how many emails I actually get in a week. I get hundreds of emails, guys, in 1 week. It's crazy. Just lots and lots of questions. But I don't mind it. I respond to them within reason of time. A week. Sometimes longer. This is a very long seam. I don't know how long this quilt actually is. That fabric was 108 and I took off like 8 to 12 inches somewhere at that end. So it's definitely got to be in the 90s in length. And this is a long border. Oh yeah, I have a long way to go. I have a long way to go.
You're doing really good though. Look at how far you got.
I'm trying to learn to sew as fast by hand as I do by machine. Is that possible? If I was on the machine, this would have been done 10 minutes ago. It would have been done 2 minutes after starting.
How long till you're back on the Juki?
Hopefully, like I said, hopefully soon. So I tried driving. Driving hurts. You use your foot on a sewing machine pedal the same as if you drive. That pressure that, even though I can drive with my left foot on the sewing machine. Anyway, I tried driving and I ended up having to use my left foot on the brake and my right foot on the, because they don't make it where you can use your left foot on the brake and the gas pedal. So I just used my left for the brake and my right for the gas pedal in the car, but it was still aggravating me. It's a good thing I only went down to the gas station and back, literally not, a mile in total of driving. And it actually aggravated my leg. And I told Scott, well, this is why they say you can't drive for 6 weeks after your surgery, because you're, using the muscles in the leg and holding pressure down for long periods, which is not good. So I have a feeling if I started to sew on the sewing machine, it's going to be the same thing, because I take my foot off and on the pedal frequently, constantly, and sometimes hold it for long periods, like borders like this. So I think that will aggravate it. And I can sew with my left foot, but I have, I don't know how to explain it. With my left foot on the sewing machine, I don't have that, my brain doesn't know how to control it right. So I have fast, slow, fast sewing all in one, from not being able to continuously hold the pedal at a certain speed. Oops, I'm tangling here. Why am I tangling?
Have you heard from Teresa, Louise?
I have not heard from Teresa. I messaged her and she has not messaged or even read the message. So she's probably not feeling well. That's usually why she wouldn't be on a Sunday sew video. But I cannot speak for her. I just know that she wasn't on today as well, and I did message her. Yep, I got a tangle. I got a tangle.
Tell Marie it's just the Juki or the Sewing Machines Plus, but the Juki one takes you to Sewing Machines Plus.
Scott said it's either the Juki or Sewing Machines Plus to Marie. The Juki one does take you to Sewing Machines Plus.
So she asked if we had an affiliate for Juki. At first I said yes, thinking, but then if she means the actual company Juki, no, we just have Sewing Machines
just for
Plus.
Sewing Machines Plus. I'm affiliated with Sewing Machines Plus. That's where you can help out by using an affiliate.
Yeah, the Juki one just takes you to the Juki at Sewing Machines Plus.
All right, stay. I don't know why that tangled. I'll do one stitch at a time for a minute. See if that helps. Well, let's do two.
What project are you looking forward to the most once you're back on your machine?
I'm looking forward to getting a lot of my long arm quilting back on track, because I do have 30 something tops. I think, was it 35 or 32? I don't remember. I have 30 something tops that need to be quilted.
Unless you got one or two client quilts.
And then I have my client quilt. So I'm really just looking forward to being able to sew, honestly, whether it be on the long arm or making a project actually sitting down at a sewing machine. Or standing, because I can stand and sew as well. But that might take a little bit more strength in my leg to be able to do that, so I won't be able to do that very soon. I will get back to normal. Hopefully soon, guys. Hopefully soon. Not much longer. But as you can see, I am enjoying my time down. I'm getting a lot accomplished with this one quilt.
What type of long arm do we have?
I have a King Quilter 2 Elite Special Edition. The only reason why it's Special Edition is because it has a 7-inch screen instead of a 3-inch screen, or whatever the size screen is they put on those things now. Scott put a link in for the long arm if you're interested in looking it up. It's pretty much just like a handy quilter machine. If you're curious about it, it's like my machine is King Quilter. It's pretty much the same thing as the Handy Quilter Capri. Which is pretty much what I just traded in on my win to get a bunch of Jukies.
Yeah.
Was the Handy Quilter Capri. But it was sit down, and I didn't want sit down. I want sewing machines instead, not quilting machines.
Which one are you going to try first, the long arm or the sewing machine?
Probably going to try long arm first.
Do you free motion at all?
I free motion quilt everything I do on a long arm. I do rulers too, but again, that's still free motion. You're moving the machine.
What criteria determine the long arm you have?
What do you mean? What criteria?
Like price, money.
Price.
Size.
Price is why I got my long arm, because
the size too. You wanted
and the size. I
18-inch
wanted an
stroke
18-inch.
space.
Yes. I don't want to have to. I'm short. I'm small. I didn't want to have to reach really, really, really far to quilt at the back, and then really, really, up close to get to the front. I wanted a machine that my arms can still, and I'm not bending and hunching over to see everything that I'm quilted, in the front of the machine. I wanted a small enough machine where I can see everything that I'm doing. But I also wanted a big enough machine to be able to do a 12-inch block on point, for custom quilting. So I definitely needed an 18-inch. That's why I got what I got. And then price.
Is your long arm computerized?
No, my long arm is not computerized. I do everything right here. The computer is in my brain.
Are Juki's expensive?
Are Juki's expensive? Yeah.
It's $1,000.
It's
$1,000.
$1,000.
Consider expensive for a sewing machine.
If you're getting the TL 2010Q, that's $1,000 machine. If you're getting the other versions, they have, the same style ones that are $100 less, and then the next model is $100 less. But then you want not a straight stitch, then you're looking at, $3,000, $2,000, so on and so forth.
Does your neck get tired while you sit and stitch?
Nope. Because all I have to do to keep my neck from getting tired is lay my head back. Because I'm in bed. My neck gets tired when I sit at a sewing machine, so my back starts hurting and everything. So I get up and move around, but in bed it's not that bad, I guess, because my back is comfortable against the bed. Way better than sitting in a computer chair or office chair, whatever you want to call them. Come on. If I could just have some kind of roll to me table, for sewing in bed by machine, I would totally do it. But then that would be me being really lazy, and I'm not lazy, so I don't sew from in bed unless it's hand sewing. I definitely have to get up and move around. I move around as fast as I sew in my quilting room. I move around a mile a minute.
How long have you been sewing on the long arm?
The long arm for 6 years. No, almost 7 years on the long arm, because I've been making quilts for 7, so. I started long arm quilting within about 7 or 8 months of making quilts, and then I started getting really frustrated and told Scott, hey, look, I want this, and watch what I can do. So that's when we got my first mid arm, and then I outgrew that within the first, I don't even think it was a month, honestly. I was whatever, and then I had to wait, though, to lots and lots of arguments about, it, but Scott saw my potential, so obviously we ended up investing in the long arm, and it's been amazing.
It wasn't overnight,
since.
Though. It was a long time.
Yeah, it was about a year of, arguing and fighting over how are you going to pay for it? How are we going to do this? How is this going to happen? But eventually I got one, and everything has been beautiful since. It has not paid for itself fully, but eventually it will.
Are you going to do any more table runners?
Yes, I do table runners, all sorts of stuff in my videos. Purses, bags, table toppers, you name it, mug rugs. I've made all sorts of stuff in my videos.
Bowl cozies?
Bowl cozies, yeah. Table runners happens a lot. Especially when you guys want me to make something small, or I need something to fill an hour's worth of video footage. Then it usually becomes a table runner. I make all sorts of stuff all the time. Oh no, we're getting close.
Not Are you using double thread to sew?
Yes, I am double thread sewing this because I don't want the darn thing to fall apart. I am so worried that this is going to fall apart in the first wash. I don't know. I got to stop worrying about that. I know it's stitched good. I'm tying everything off nicely. I'm back stitching on these long passes. I mean, it shouldn't fall apart. I pressed the whole top so it's laying a certain way. It took me forever to press it though because I can't stand very long. But I needed to make sure all the seams went a certain direction the way I sewed them. So I spent a lot of time just flattening all that out.
Have you ever done a duffel bag? Any videos on a duffel bag?
I did a miniature duffel bag before, but I did not make a video because unfortunately, I wasn't filming at that time. And I was supposed to make the video, but I don't know where I stuck my pattern that I wrote myself. But I could make one in the future. They're cute and fun to make. I've not made a big one though. I've not made a big duffel bag. My friend Justin wants one, so maybe I'll eventually do it in the future. He wants me to make, because he's a truck driver. He's been wanting to make a truck driver bag, which is like a duffel bag, but one side's for wet and then it has a separator and one side's for dry. So that way he can carry his stuff back and forth to his truck with ease instead of having to carry more than one bag. One for wet stuff and one for dry stuff. We just haven't made it yet. He wanted to design it himself. So one of these days he'll come and sit and we'll write something up and sew it up on the new devil of a machine that I got.
What advice would you give someone who wants to start a long-arming business?
Someone that wants to start a long-arming business, I would say, from personal experience, you should be computerized so that way you can offer those options because I can only do what I can only do. So if the person doesn't want custom and they actually want little princesses dancing around like ballerinas as the stitching, I can't do that. I can't even find a pantograph for that. So I would say make sure you have all the things you need to be able to stitch for all the needs of everybody. Also, don't expect it to take off right away because I've been doing it for 6 years, taking in clients for 6 years now, and I have the same like 25 clients.
It's not a big business.
It's not a big business at all. So don't expect to become a millionaire. Advice wise, yeah, it, you have to build yourself a foundation and get yourself the clientele. And, you know, just know that in the summertime, there's less quilting than there is in the wintertime. In the wintertime, I get tons of quilts because they need them all for Christmas, you know.
You need a lot of overhead,
yeah,
pretty much.
You need a lot of
overhead. The machine
overhead.
is not just out, it's tens of thousands if you're talking a long arm.
Yep. Computerized long arms are expensive.
So you're going to need a big overhead.
Yep. That advice I can give you is be patient with it, honestly, when you start it, because it doesn't happen overnight or 6 years later. Because again, I only have what I have, but I love my clients and they love me and they love what I do without a computer. So that's why I have them. But if I had a computer, I'm pretty sure I'd have more clientele.
I'm hand stitching a lap quilt single thread and I don't want it to fall apart. So would I stitch in a ditch work?
You can. If you don't want it to fall apart and you're stitching hand quilt, I would stitch on both sides of the ditch. So that way both sides are held down.
How do you charge for custom quilting?
I charge 2.5 cents per square inch, and that's for basic custom quilting, because that's basic. Everything I do is custom. You won't find it anywhere else. That's just basic. But when you want like show quilting, it goes from 3 cents a square inch on up. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just stitching it in the ditch and stuff, it's, you know, and then a couple basic whatever stitches per block, like I'm separating things out, then I charge 3 cents a square inch. But my basic is 2.5 cents, and that's edge to edge things that I know how to do, you know, general type stuff, flowers, meanders, loop-de-loops, stars, ribbons, things like that. But I would say 100% of my work is all custom. But I do know a couple computerized long armors that they charge 1.5 cents per square inch, but they're a computer, so it's not really that custom, I guess, and that's why they charge that. I think it's based on the fact that they charge for the thread and things like that, and the design, if they have to buy the design that they're stitching out for you, that you choose.
The ladies at the guild get mad at you. They tell you charge too little. They want her to charge more.
Yeah, the ladies at the guild have told me for years now that I should charge more because I do everything custom, but I just charge what I charge. Almost to the end, and then we can do the other side. See, sometimes I could thread the needle on the first try. You guys saw that? Didn't even have to poke for it.
Oh, here's one. Lady says, Tucker's computerized long arm is amazing. Yes, it is. Tucker's a good guy.
Yes.
We like Tucker.
Tucker is amazing.
Don't we have a thing for him? His name
Yep.
Tucker?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tucker
him.
does computerized and custom.
We haven't heard from him in a while. How's he doing?
He's good. He's just working a lot.
Good. That's a good thing.
Keep him busy. He's out at his grandma's for the summer, though.
How far out are you? Does that mean how soon till you're done?
How far out am I long arm job wise? It all depends on how much quicker it takes me to get back to work, and then I have a few long arm jobs that I have to get done first. So I'm probably, once I'm back at it, I'm probably like 3 weeks out, but I'm not, I haven't announced that I'm back at it yet, so it'll probably be a couple weeks.
What's the craziest design you top quilted when given free range?
The craziest design that I've long arm quilted, you mean? When given free range?
I guess. What's the craziest design you top quilted when given free range? So I take it that means long arming, yes.
I haven't done nothing crazy. They usually, most of my clients don't want heavy quilting. They want a light medium quilting. So I don't really go crazy with it. But I have quilted baseballs, footballs, and basketballs on to a quilt, free motion. And let me tell you, that was challenging because you got to have like the perfect, the football part was the hard part, doing footballs. Like that shape that a football is. I kept getting like wanting to do a circle and then ended up doing the oval. And then when I got to a basketball, I wanted to do an oval and I needed to do a circle. But I have done it. So I guess that would be crazy because that's not something I would normally quilt. But it was a suggestion by my client who wanted basketballs, baseballs, and footballs.
Did Tucker graduate yet?
He should have this year. He does online school, so it might be different graduation time.
What thread and batting do you prefer? And do you provide the thread and batting for the customers?
I do not provide batting, but thread is included in your price.
Batting we sell it. It can be provided.
Yeah, I use glide thread and then I also sell batting. And I use 100% cotton. I have 100% polyester. I have 80/20. And then I also have thick weight polyesters for like custom stuff, like a 6 ounce and 8 ounce polyester for like super loft for those people that live in I've done quilts for someone that lived in Alaska, and it was very, 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 very cold there, and they wanted 100% polyester because they wanted the warmth and they wanted the thick batting. Let's just say, though, it costs an arm and a leg to send it back to that state. But still.
Yeah, we do provide that.
Yeah, I do provide it. It's just not free. There's a charge. I couldn't afford to be able to provide it. I know some long armors provide it, but there's no way I could afford that. I wouldn't be getting paid. There would be no payment available for me to pocket for, working on it. So unfortunately, it has to be charged. But thread is included in the charge. Ooh, it might be. Hello.
Tracy loved your Halloween pantograph that glowed in black light. I think everybody loved that.
Oh, yeah. I guess that would be the craziest one I did was my Halloween pantograph that I made, that I quilted it under the black light. I did those and I made them into little Halloween table toppers, whatever the people used them for, and gave them away. I made 2 of them and gave them away.
Where else do we buy batting? Walmart, and is it Marshall Dry Goods?
Marshall Dry Goods.
Yeah, so it's Walmart and Marshall Dry Goods.
Yeah. Yep, I buy my batting at Walmart and Marshall Dry Goods. And Walmart sells all sorts of brands of batting. Did you guys know that? And they ship it to your door, which is awesome. Marshall Dry Goods ships it to your door also, but they charge you for batting by the roll. So $40 a roll to ship it to me here in Arizona is kind of expensive, but again, that's where the cost comes in when I charge for batting, because that stuff is expensive.
long arm locally, or do you do it for other states?
I do local and other states, or send-ins is what I call them. So I have a lot of locals and a lot of send-ins, which makes up my 20-something clients.
The picture on your icon, did you make that quilt?
The picture
Yes.
on my icon,
Yes. It's the big one.
On the big one.
It's the big giant one that you made for neighbors is your icon.
Oh,
Big
yeah,
huge.
yeah. My
Yes.
little picture of
You made
me, the little circle of me when
Yes,
Scott talks
you
in the
made
chat.
it.
Yeah, that's one I made. Made and sold. All right, I'm coming to the end. Look at that. That took forever.
What's your favorite quilt for gifts?
Favorite quilt for gifts? I usually make a whole entire quilt. Like bed size. 90% of the quilts I make that I have been giving to family and friends and stuff is always a bed size quilt. It's really hard to give someone a lap, especially if they're married, you know, because, well, then you're only covering one of them.
You still on over there? I'm circling.
It's still on there. All right. Oh, that hurt. That went in my finger. Wow, this took me a while to sew this long edge. I don't know if I want to go to the other one already. It's a lot.
Have you done butterfly quilting on your long arm?
Yep, I can quilt butterflies. Yep, I can quilt butterflies. I can quilt dragonflies. I can quilt, trying to think now. What are all the little things that I've quilted?
All sorts of flowers.
All sorts of flowers. I know I do tons of different kinds of flowers. Trying to think though. I don't know if I know any other animals. I have done, I have a panto that I bought that's got giraffe, elephant, and lion or tiger or something on it. So I have quilted those, but not very many people bring me children's quilts. I usually just get adult quilts to quilt, so I don't really ever use that pantograph. But I own it in case I need it. All right.
Do you use a pattern?
I don't use patterns on the long arm because I free motion quilt everything. All right, so this is what the corner looks like. Look at that. I have to press it though. Let me finger press that back so that way it lays flat.
How far are we from Pilot Truck Stop? Tell me, like 20 minutes? 30?
Like 20 minutes, 30 minutes from Pilot?
Depends on the traffic.
Depends on if there's traffic on the highway.
Could be 15.
Yeah, look at that. I'm kind of curious how long this is now. It's definitely longer than a yard right there. Or, yeah. Do you have a measuring tape nearby, Mr. Scotty?
I can go get one. Anyone who's asking questions, tell them to re-ask when I get back.
Yeah, he's gonna go get me a measuring tape so I could see how long the quilt is. Because I have one more side to add, but I'm curious how long
Hey,
this
what's
is.
Mommy and Daddy? Come on. $44.
88.
88.
It is 88 inches long. Look at that. Let's see how wide is it. Oh, I can't tell you now because that's the width without the other half of it. We'll just add 7 inches to it.
$34, so 68.
Huh?
34, so 68.
That's what 475. It'll be 75 by, what was the other number?
88.
88. That's pretty darn big for me to hand quilt. Am I crazy? I don't think so. All right, one more border. I guess I'll pin it on. I need to adjust my body. It's kind of sweaty hot in here being under this quilt.
Yes, it is. And I'm not under the quilt.
Boy.
Have you ever thought of making hexies while in bed?
I thought about it, but I haven't done it yet because I haven't done it yet. I'm going to try to pin this on without it being on top of me because I'm really, really getting hot here. And it doesn't help that I am surrounded by a bazillion pillows because I sleep with a ton of pillows on my bed. I am a pillow snob. I have so many pillows. I think I have a total of like 16 pillows all to myself.
What kind of batting do you prefer? Cotton, blend?
Cotton, blend, poly, it doesn't matter to me. I have quilts with all different in them. So I have some that have 80-20 in them, some that have poly, some that have cotton. And those separate quilts have separate seasons that I use them. I'll use the polyester filled or the 80-20 filled ones in the winter time, and the cotton in the spring or the fall, in the fall or the spring, and no quilt in the summer because again, it's 100 and however much outside, and well, you know.
You always do big quilts, though.
Yeah.
The quilt on your icon, do you have a tutorial? Yes.
Yes.
A whole bunch of videos.
There's a whole bunch of videos on it. It's called the Mariner Compass Star or Mariner Star. Did I call it the Mariner Star or Mariner's Compass? I don't remember.
I don't remember. They can look it up.
Yeah, there's a playlist for it though.
Yeah, there's like 6 videos.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of videos of me making it.
Tell the lady you bought a special book for the pattern and it was wrong, so you did your own.
Yep. I bought a book that was written by a 16-year-old Amish girl, and it was wrong. The pattern was wrong as I was making it, and it got all messed up, so I had to resize everything and make it. Yeah. So that was fun.
That's why it took so long, because you pretty much had to redo it. You came close to giving up even.
Yep.
You stuck it out and you redid it and it came out amazing.
Yep. My client loved it and so did my ribbons from the quilt show because I won ribbons on that one. That's actually, the picture is actually at the quilt show. That's me standing next to it. The quilt was 120 inches by 120 inches. The biggest quilt I have ever made. Because that client wanted it for their lifted king size bed. So it wasn't just a regular king size bed. It's the kind that was on a pedestal that you could put steps to get up to. And they wanted it to hang over the sides, not only on their 14-inch deep mattress, but again, it was completely off the ground.
Look at this boy. He needs some attention. He's out there meowing and meowing. He says, "Mama, nobody's talking to me."
Yeah.
I'm just in the way. All beside myself. I want to jump on top of this quilt, but there's pins and needles sticking out, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, don't do it.
He's coming back on the floor. He's all crazy. Have you heard of Kantha? I'm going to do a quilt in that style or running stitch. Kantha.
Never heard of it. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of Kantha, whoever said that.
No 170. How often are patterns wrong?
I don't know because I don't really use other people's patterns, but I'm going to guess 1 in every 30 patterns probably has wrong information in it or wrong sizes or cuts because, you know, that they didn't go back and re-edit into the new measurement or something that someone found later on after the fact or something like that. So it can't be very, very rare, but it's rare enough, I guess, because not everybody complains that a pattern is wrong. But
it's a running stitch. Canta.
oh, I've never heard of it, and that's what I'm doing here is running stitches. But I didn't know they had names besides being a running stitch because I don't really know much about hand sewing. I just know how to do it. All right, so I'm going to cut this to size again because, you know, I can the way I do it. Just going to flatten it out. I figure instead of measuring the quilt and then adding, you know, cutting the border to size, that doing it this way is pretty much the same thing because I have to pin the whole thing on anyway. So I'm definitely just making it to size, and I shouldn't have any bowing. And that's really not going to matter because I'm hand quilting this anyway in the end. So I don't think it's going to matter if I have a perfectly square quilt because it's going to shift when I start hand sewing it or hand quilting it and basting it and stuff. I don't know how that works because I've never done it before, but I have a feeling that's what it's going to be like. All right. I'm going to try to do this without having the quilt on my lap because it's kind of like super hot in here.
Yeah, it's only 6 o'clock. I'm hot, and I'm not under it.
Yeah, it's a good thing we both didn't sit on the bed for today's video.
I would have sat with you. When this is finished, do you think you'll make another?
I don't think I'll make another quilt by hand. Not at least not nothing this big. Like I said, I have some English paper piecing hexagons. I'm gonna try that, and if I don't like it, then I won't ever have to do it again. This might be just a one and done project. You never know. In 5 years, like I said earlier, I might want to do it again. It all depends. I only started this project because I wanted something to do while I was stuck in bed when I was sick with valley fever in 2020. I had pneumonia so many times and I was stuck in bed and stuck in the hospital so many times that, yeah, I definitely needed something to do. And hand sewing was it. Something I can do without losing my breath.
And that lady loved the glow in the dark one.
Oh, the quilt. I've done the glow thread. It's not glow in the dark thread, but it glows under blacklight thread. I've done a few projects with that. My Cleopatra fan quilt was quilted with it and looks amazing when you put it under blacklight. But the last quilt show it was entered in, I don't think they understood why I quilted it that way because I wasn't allowed to put black lights up around my quilt for people to see. They can't make the whole place dark just so that we can glow one quilt. Well, I probably would have won a ribbon though if they could have saw that. But I didn't win anything.
Can a computer be added after the fact to non-computerized long arm?
It depends on the model of. If it's an older long arm, you might want to check with the manufacturer. But yes, you can buy a long arm now, and in 5 years, buy a computerized system for it. Me and Scott, I've tossed around the idea a bazillion times, you know, that Scott can do that part of the job, and then I can do all the free motion quilting.
So far, it's a no.
But so far, it's a no because it's, you know, almost $10,000 for the computerized part for my long arm. So that's why we haven't done it, because it's a little too expensive.
Okay, enough about money. What inspired you to get started quilting? This lady said you inspired her. What inspired you?
What inspired me is I have MS, multiple sclerosis, if you guys didn't know, plus a plethora of other problems that just drive my body crazy, like arthritis and fibromyalgia and so on and so forth. I don't talk about all of it, but anyway, I was in my wheelchair and I saw a picture online and I said, "Oh, I could do that." And I owned a sewing machine. I did. It was in the garage in a box on a shelf and covered in 500 pounds of dust. But Scott got it out for me and he's like, "What are you going to do with this?" I'm like, "I'm going to make a quilt. I saw a picture online. I'm going to make a quilt. I could do it." So uh, I didn't remember how to thread the machine. So we asked his mom and she's like, "I don't know how to thread that." I eventually figured it out and I sat out in the garage. He set up a folding table for me and he opened it up, put the sewing machine on it. We grabbed some 100-year-old thread because I had a ton of thread and I had a little bit of fabric and sheets, lots of sheets. And he set it up on the table for me. And I sat there, scooted up to it in my wheelchair in the garage. And I had a pair of scissors. I had some cardboard that I cut to make my blocks. And I hand cut everything with scissors because I didn't have a rotary cutter. I didn't have, rulers or anything like that. And I made a quilt using a sheet, actually multiple sheets because I used one on the back. And the batting in that quilt was an old a blanket, like a comforter for a children's bed. It was one of the kids' comforters from a twin bed that they didn't have anymore. And I took it apart and took the batting out of it and used that inside the quilt. And my son actually has that quilt and loves that quilt and still uses that quilt. It looks like crap. It was sewn on a regular, it was a Brother machine from the 80s. And it had like 12 stitches, basic stitches on it. And we used every single one of those stitched, I used all those stitches that were on the machine to put my son's name into the quilt. I stitched down and made a D, and down around and made an A. And I put his name on it, not realizing when I was quilting it, doing that it would be backwards on the other side. But he still loved his quilt. He really loved it. And he was very thankful that I made that. And then from then on, I kind of just went quilty crazy. But using sheets and clothes until I didn't even know about rulers and stuff for like it was like a month of me sewing regular, before we got any ruler from Walmart. It was quite a while.
A real ruler, you mean?
Yeah,
Like
real ruler and rotary
ruler?
cutter. I didn't get that for like a
Because,
month.
you were using a yardstick.
Yeah, I was using a yardstick at first
we made
and
you
cardboard rulers.
I remember making you the cardboard rulers and cutting them and all that.
Yep, I did that for like a whole month. Maybe 2 even. Before I learned that Walmart I knew they had a fabric section. Everybody knew that Walmart had a fabric section, but I didn't know they had rotary cutters and all that stuff. And it was about 6 months before I even learned that YouTube had videos for how to quilt. So then I found Missouri Star and I found Jordan Fabrics. And even then, those beginning tutorials were like, what? Everybody's advanced since then. Such better tutorials and stuff. But in the beginning, I found some stuff. But I made do with what I had. And it didn't stop me either. I just kept going and kept going out into the garage all the time. And Scott's like, what? You going outside to smoke again? I'm like, no, I'm going to sew. And I was out there for hours upon hours in the heat, even in the summertime, sewing on my really cruddy Brother sewing machine. We bought me another one from Walmart at the time we got my rulers and rotary cutter. We got me a PRS Project Runway sewing machine. That thing broke in like the first 2 months. We were really mad about that. It didn't last very long. But we got another one, and I think the first one was just a dud. Because, yeah, the other one lasted a little bit longer. I still have it in the garage, broken, but it's in the garage in a box. The hand wheel don't turn. It's froze up, so I don't know how to fix it. I should take it apart and figure it out, but I just haven't done it. But yeah, that's what inspired me, is a picture on the internet. And I traded riding motorcycles. I even have pictures of my motorcycle with quilts. I was just hanging up my quilts right next to my motorcycle in the beginning.
It's because you couldn't ride
because I
anymore.
couldn't ride anymore. So I traded motorcycles for sewing machines. I know, weird combo, right? And I've had plenty of sewing machines since, until I got my Juki. And then the Juki's just, you know, now I have a ton of machines. I never thought I'd be a multiple machine owner either. But you work hard enough, you can get all the things you want.
Like the song says, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need.
Yep, exactly. What Scott said. I'm pretty sure you guys heard him. Not very far into this border, and I feel like I've been sewing forever. It's probably because I'm already super duper luper hot sitting here. It's a lot of work going into this quilt, like more than I could ever imagine. But my hands have been able to do it. And all the lovely pokes. Look at my finger. Hold on. You see all that? That's from hand sewing without using a thimble.
Are you stitching right now, just a running stitch?
Yeah, it's just a running stitch. And then I take a back stitch every now and then. And then the other day, I don't know, about 5 days ago now, I'm going back and forth, and I came up and the needle, this thing, went all the way into my thumbnail, and between my thumbnail and my finger. Can you see that? Right there. It went all the way up to there, and it got stuck in my finger, and I couldn't get it out, and I was like, yeah, I was saying bad words. It was stuck in my finger, and it hurt. And then I keep going into my knuckle, my thumb knuckle as well. I don't know why. I'm not even close to it. I'm using the top of my thumbnail to push the needle down. But when you're not paying attention, you can poke yourself a whole heck of a lot.
Do you think you could custom a hexagon quilt with different freehand snowflakes?
I don't think so. That sounds challenging.
Hexagon blocks are 14 inches per side. It will be at least a year before it will be ready to quilt.
You mean custom quilt it?
I guess.
Oh, yeah. I can quilt any quilt.
I got a batting at a yard sale. It's 3 inches too short for my top, but I can cut some off the width. Piece it by zigzag, you think? She's asking a question. What do you
Yeah,
think?
you can do that, or you can get some, oh my gosh, what is it called? Seam tape? And seam it. They have this stuff called batting seam tape. I swear by that now. I don't even use the sewing machine to zigzag batting anymore. I just use the seam tape, and unless it's polyester, I don't, because polyester you can't. But if it's cotton, use
But
that.
you can zigzag.
You can zigzag any batting together. Yes, just use a wide zigzag stitch and a long zigzag stitch. So not only is it a wide stitch to catch both sides, but it's a long stitch. That way you're not shriveling it up, like, I don't know how to say the word.
Well, you Franken-piece batting
yeah.
a lot.
I Franken-piece batting a lot, yes. And if you use the zigzag stitch, if it's wide enough, it'll catch both sides. If it's long enough, then it'll keep it from, what it does is it like kind of like sucks it all in with the feed dogs, and it makes it like, I don't know the word for it. I can't get the word out. I don't know, it just jumbles it up. And you don't want that inside of your quilt. So make sure you keep it flat.
Bunches up.
Bunches, that's the word. Bunches up. Thank you. It'll bunch up and you don't want that. So you got to watch for that. when you're franken-piecing batting. But it can be done.
Where's your thimble?
My thimble is right here. But I don't like to use it. It feels weird on my finger. I'd rather just stab myself. It's not that bad. I developed a callus right there from sewing into my finger the whole time that I've been doing this. But I do own one, a metal one. It'll probably come in handy when I actually big stitch quilt. But for now, I'm just using my finger. I don't think it'll make my stitching any better either if I put a thimble on. I am really getting hot.
Well, it's been almost an hour and a half. You want to go soon?
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? I'm thinking about getting off of here because I'm getting really hot and sweaty, and I should get up and stand my body in front of a fan or jump in a cool shower because sitting here under this quilt top is definitely not helping me any right now in this summer heat
How long
outside.
does it take to quilt a full-size quilt on a long arm?
How long to quilt a full-size quilt on a long arm? That depends on the person and what you're quilting on the quilt. So I could quilt a full-size quilt if it's just an edge to edge in an hour and a half. And that's just free motion quilting, a basic design from one side to the other. But if I'm custom quilting, it could take 14 days. It just depends on what I'm quilting on it. If you're doing a computerized machine, a computer could probably do a full-size quilt, depending on how dense the stitches is that it's stitching out. It could probably do it in like an hour and a half, 2 hours as well. Also depends on the setting, how fast your machine is set at too. Like Tucker, he can make his machine go really fast. He could probably have it done in like 2 hours. So.
Are you going to do big stitch quilting on this quilt?
Yep, big stitch quilting with embroidery floss. That is what I have decided to do. And it's going to be all different color embroidery floss too. Because I have tons of different colors. Alright. I'll finish this amount of thread and then we'll get off of here. Okay?
Yeah. What kind of size of thread will you use to quilt it?
The embroidery floss, I don't know what size that is. I have no idea. I have no clue. I know that it's a bunch of different strands. I'm just going to use all 6 or 8 strands or whatever's on it, and I'm going to get a needle that fits it, and I'm going to just do it that way. And it'll just be single stitch too. I won't be doubling the thread over either. I'll be singling. It's going to be my quilt anyway, so whatever happens with it is what happens with it. And I'm pretty sure you can like do all sorts of stuff instead of just straight lines with big stitch quilting, because I've watched a bunch of videos on it. So I don't have to do straight lines. I can do all sorts of different stitches if I wanted to. Depends on how much time I want to spend more on this quilt, because I've already spent hundreds of hours on it. Been at it for quite a long time. Any other questions?
Well, Becky wanted you to know that she started a TikTok of she quilts while the husband paints, and she started it, and her thing got 40 views, and then she did an 8-second video of her husband's, I guess, his paintings, and he got, I forget, it was over 1 million, no, 3 million.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I don't use TikTok. I'm not sure very many people use TikTok in the quilting world. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of quilters on TikTok, but I'm talking about the watchers they're not very many quilter watchers. I'm not even on it. So my kids send me video TikTok clips all the time. I don't join the app. I just watch it from the little video file it sends.
Yeah,
That's
well,
it.
3 million is more than we ever get on anything.
Yeah, but I
She got
don't.
us beat.
I don't watch that, but I know that there's not very many quilters because half of the quilters that I know they don't use TikTok. So, but painting, I'm pretty sure there's lots of people. I watch painting videos
Does
on.
Alexa have a painting thing on one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watch painting videos on YouTube, so I'm pretty sure people watch those on TikTok. So I could see where that difference in views would be.
Well, Alexa has her own TikTok site, doesn't she?
Yeah, but she uses TikTok for dress up for her anime too.
Oh, okay.
She shows her drawings and then her anime.
I don't know. Anyway, enough with TikTok. Ask them if they have any questions before we get off.
Any more questions? As soon as I'm out of this thread and tie it off, I'm going to get off of here. It's almost out.
Do you do any thread painting?
I do not do thread painting because I don't ever get a chance to load fabric and just go at it. It's usually a job or me trying to finish one of my quilts, so I never get to play around with all the thread colors and just have fun with my stitching. I've done it a few times, but again, I never get a chance to load some black fabric and use 3 different color threads and have fun with it. If I had more time on my hands and didn't have to do, jobs or my own stuff, then I probably would thread paint more.
They want to know if you'll hold the whole thing up before you're done.
Yep. This border will not be able to be shown, but the rest of it will be. So let me get this tied off and I'll hand it to Scott and then I'll turn the camera.
How do you keep the backing from bunching when you quilt with a regular machine?
You lay it out flat and baste it nicely with some spray or pins. It's very important to smooth your quilt out before you start the quilting process when you're free motion quilting on a domestic machine. It's really a good idea to use a table or a floor to get it nice and smooth before you start. All right, I'm going to hand it to Scott, but he's going to hold it up by this border because you don't want to poke yourself. So just
I'll hold it wherever you want me to.
Just go over there. And then here's the sewn end. Just keep it folded. And I take it over there to the floor.
The cat's on the floor.
That's fine.
Well,
all right, guys. We're gonna.
Are the needles on there what I'm holding?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna just take you guys out of here. And we're gonna get out of the bed and stare at my nose. Here, stare at the cat for a second. Oops, that's still me. There's a kitty.
They like something.
All right. There it is. So it's a lot longer. That's the borders. And then obviously the top, that's because I'm sewing that one on in the right now, but that's what it looks like so far. Ta-da. So as soon as that final border is on there, you don't have to hold it anymore. As soon as that's completely sewn on there, I will be done with that and can move on to flattening it back out so that I can quilt it. So there's that. Alrighty, guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I'm putting you back in the mount so I don't have to hold it because I have the shakes like always. Thank you guys all for hanging out. You'll see, I'll take a picture of it when it's fully done and I press the borders flat because I haven't done that yet. I need to press them once it's fully stitched on, but right now I'm hot. I need to get up and take a cold shower because it's just too hot in Arizona today. So, all right, guys, thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Good night.